To comment during the Frankly Speaking show, you first need to open the video that is being streamed live. Look for the chat box on the side or bottom of the video player. This is where you can type your message. Click inside the chat box and use your keyboard to type out what you want to say. You can type words, use emojis, or even ask questions. Once you've typed your message, press the enter key on your keyboard or click the send button. Your comment will then appear in the chat for everyone watching the live stream to see. If you want to send another comment, just type it in the chat box again and press enter or send. Your new comment will show up below your previous one.
Good day, good day. By the account of the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, up to Saturday, 13,712 customers were still without electricity. Now, remember, a customer is often a household of 7 people. Most of those are in St. Elizabeth. The date for full restoration has been moved from tomorrow, August 12th, to August 31. Good day, I'm Frankly McKnight. Thank you for joining us for this, the 131st episode of Frankly Speaking Jamaica Podcast. With us are Desmond Richards and Winnie Anderson Brown, as usual. We invite you to subscribe to this podcast. It's easy. Please also share with your friends and family. Let me jump right into it and welcome our special guest today, Everton Fisher, former mayor of Black River, councillor for Balaclava, the Balaclava division in the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation. And he has been talking about what's happening in his constituency, in his division, where a lot of people, from my conversation, a lot of people are still without electricity. In the last week, there have been almost daily demonstrations in St. Elizabeth, a parish which is not known for street protests. They're just hardworking people. Of the 38,000 plus customers of the JPS in St. Elizabeth, the company says 26,000 plus have received power, but nearly 12,000 are out since Hurricane Beryl. Some of these people told me in interviews last week that they have been facing financial loss, never mind the great discomfort. Everton Fisher is going to speak with us now. And Councillor Fisher, welcome. Tell us generally about what has been happening, would you please?
Good afternoon, Franklin.
Balaclava, yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. McKnight, and to your listeners. I am proud to be on your show today, frankly speaking. As you are saying, Beryl has been here for over almost 5 weeks now. And whereas we have seen where a lot of customers probably return to the grid of the Jamaica Public Service Company, from my era Balaclava, which I don't think we did receive a battering, but for some reason or the other, the Jamaica Public Service Company is very slow in restoring electricity to some areas. I have about 14 or 15 communities that makes up my division Balaclava. Some of them are namely Content, Roses Valley, Armstrong, Marlborough, Russell Hill, Union, Ben Lomans. And most of these, 95% of these communities, they have not been restored to the Jamaica Public Service grid. The only electricity we have had is on the main line from Silo to Balaclava. And customers are really feeling the pressure. As in another interview, someone mentioned, it's not just the light, but the livelihood. Persons who rear chicken and all of those, and we are approaching back to school, frankly, is having a crippling effect on the the lifestyle or the economy of my division, Balaclava.
And why is it so bad? Why is it so difficult? And why is the situation so bad in the Balaclava area? Because you are not down in the south, you are not down in Southfield and so on. You just really had a battering from Berry. So
if you ask me, Franklin, frankly speaking, I think the Jamaica Public Service, they're not capable of handling a complex matter like a hurricane. I've watched them for the past 3 years, and I can tell you, I have been critical of them in a lot of my media coverage on different stations, because I don't think that the Jamaica Public Service has been doing the type of work that is needed in this type of century. You know, there was a time when they complained that the government owed them money, and that was hampering their work. As a mayor between 2012 and 2016, I advised the then government administration not to pay off JPS the debt. Since this administration, right or wrong, they have paid off the debt to the Jamaica Public Service Company. But I can tell you, instead of going forward, I believe they're going backward. And I'm happy when I hear Minister Darrell Vaz admit that they are really, upset. They are really disappointed in the Jamaica Public Service. I don't think they have the personnel to carry out the work.
Well, I gather that you mobilize some people, because I was speaking with people from Roses Valley, as you mentioned, and also from Bogue. And I gather that you mobilize some people to go there and do some bushing. And even after that bushing of about a mile, based upon what JPS had said, the connection was gone. What happened? Explain that to us.
That is true. That is so, Franklin. I have been very proactive as a council. They have asked where the community could reach out and help. There are a lot of areas who did digging out of the holes for the poles. Up to today, there has been no pole forthcoming. There are areas like, namely Armstrong and Marlborough, over 2 miles of bushing of the roadway and the lines. And up to now, no intention to even start working. And what bothers me, Franklin, if I see the JPS team working, I would have hope. But as far as I'm concerned, in the Balaclava division, for the past 2 weeks, I have not even seen a JPS truck. I hope I'm not, overstating my case, but I have not seen a JPS truck in the past 2 weeks. Last week, I spoke to one supervisor in Bogue. He took me with some guys. We dug out a hole for the post, and up to today, that air house is out of electricity.
So I have a question. What happened to the team of foreigners? What happened to the team of foreigners that came to help GPS? What happened to that team? What's going on with that?
I haven't seen them personally, but I think some of them were deployed to the Southwest St. Elizabeth, and I see some movements, and I believe also some were deployed to Northwest. I see a little movement taking place in Northwest in the Newmarket area and in the Minister Green's constituency. There's some movement, not fast enough, but there's some movement. But I will tell you, for Northeast St. Elizabeth and MP slowly, I am disappointed in what JPS seem to be doing here.
There was supposed to be a meeting last week with the JPS president and CEO, and he was supposed to meet with councillors. Were you a part of that meeting? And were you happy about what came out of it? If you were?
I didn't get you, Franklin. I was disturbed. What are you saying?
No, there was a meeting last week with the JPS CEO and president. We said with councillors and political representatives. Were you a part of that? And how?
No, I was not. I was never part of that meeting. I don't know. But coming out of that meeting, I did overheard Minister Vaz expressing his complete disappointment with JPS, and rightly so.
Yes.
So why you weren't told about the meeting, Councillor Fisher, or what? What happened?
I was not told about the meeting. However, as I mean, I don't think I'm not the mayor or I'm not the minority leader, but I was never told of any meeting with JPS. And I have been one of those councillors who have been very outspoken about JPS. Because as I said to you earlier, Franklin, I think the government has been given a bad card. They have been, dealt a bad blow. Because after even the sacrifice of the economy to pay off a debt of $7 billion. And after that, for me, I have been on record to state it almost every Thursday at the monthly meeting. We are getting a raw deal from the Jamaica Public Service Company. We are not getting value for money.
And before you leave, I don't know if Desmond has a question for you, but I just have to ask you this. When you talk to residents now from your division, what do you say to them with regard to the suffering that they experience? What do you say to them now, Councillor Fisher?
It's almost putting your hands in the air. Last week, some of them were very agitated in going out to block roads. I have met with them and we have tried other methods. As I said, I met the Jamaica Public Service. We decided if we get some support or help from the community, we would assist. So some of those communities, as you mentioned in your early thing, some of them has blocked the road, but many of them are just sitting and waiting it out. Some have decided not to block the roads. I have been just there for them to say to them, we're just trying our best to see when they will start to do something in my area. But I'm really, really up to my wit end in how JPS has really treated the Balaclava division.
All right.
Councillor Fisher, so
yes,
tell us what is the impact of the water, the electricity, the absence of electricity, and the delivery of water supplies to your constituency?
I tell you the truth, the water returned when the main in Balaclava returned. So 2-3 weeks ago, when the main was reconnected to the grid, the union water supply returned. So it is not that bad where water is concerned. However, the union water system is not the best neither. So I know many persons are under pressure where water is concerned. And the National Water Commission, they too are problem in themselves because they have not been trucking water. You mentioned off-air, Desmond, about the parish council. We are unable because we don't have money. So we are almost unable to truck water. So most of my residents, they are really reeling from this because they have to be purchasing water at high cost, So it's really having a toll on the economy of the small people of Balaclava.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to thank you, sir. Councillor Fisher, we want to thank you very much. We gather that you are the face of the people who are putting forward what's supposed to be happening down there. We wish you well, and we hope that the representation will yield more fruits faster for the people there. We're going to be taking, as a leader, we're going to be taking one of the people from your division who we have been talking to about the circumstances. Thanks very much, Councillor Fisher.
You're welcome, Franklin, and I'm available at any time.
Thank you very much. That was Councillor Everton Fisher of the Balaclava division, and this area is one of those in which is concentrated quite a few of the people who we have been talking to, and they're saying circumstances are very bad. We are hoping to be joined by one of them, Rena Wallace, Miss Rena Wallace, and she has been telling me a lot, Desmond and Winnie, about the pain that people there and she personally has been experiencing. So in a while we're going to get Miss Wallace as soon as Joshua can bring her on for us. But Winnie, you had some concerns?
Yes, it's concern, but it's really commendation. I saw last week, Wednesday, there was a loud explosion and then the power went. They were working further around because not everyone in my area had electricity. Of course, I called the JPS, and when I went out the road,
what area are you talking about? Winnie, sorry.
I'm talking about Bagatelle in Clarendon. I'm in Clarendon. So not everybody in my area had electricity. They were working on Wednesday. And I was very nervous. First of all, I must say I wasn't here during burial and we did not have electricity. And I was happy that we got it back because I do quite a few things online. And while I was at my seminar, there was this power outage. And when I went out the road and I saw what was going on, of course it was a transformer. So that means that if JPS doesn't come, we would not get back electricity. And the young man who was working further around, I saw him doing something else and I spoke with him. And when I saw the amount of work that he had to do to get rid of the shrubbery around the line, I said, it should not be like that. He worked so hard to get rid of all of that. It should not be, because that is not an emergency. This is something that grows from the ground up. It's on somebody's property. So at least we as citizens can do more so that when we have natural disasters, it doesn't have to be like that. So when I see what the workers on the ground have to do, I really lift my hat to them, because I saw this one man working so very hard. He didn't want his name to be called. He didn't even want a picture taken, but it's a lot of work to get the electricity going. So
commendations to him and to all those who, and the many JPS workers. I have no doubt, up and down the country.
I think it is important to point that out. They are on the ground. They are the ones working. They are the ones that people quarrel with. They are the ones that people stone if they don't like what is going on. So I think it is important to really speak to them and commend and encourage them. The problem is higher up. It's above them. And those people are not getting any flack for anything. They don't even have to listen when you talk. But the people on the ground and those who are feeling the pressure, we really need to pay some attention to what is going on the ground.
The councillor did not mention this, but for example, in St. Elizabeth, one of the impact of the power there is affecting the local economy. So, for example, we are now weeks away from back to school, and those dressmakers who prepare uniforms for back to school, they can't work. Their income stream is out, and therefore they are left among the other people down there in St. Elizabeth whose income stream have been disrupted. As the councillor spoke about those small chicken farmers, the fishermen, the hairdressers, the farmers themselves, because not all farmers in the parish are getting water, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that is very burdensome as we speak, many houses in St. Elizabeth are still without roof. So and we are in the rainy season. So whenever it rains, these people are still inconvenient, right? Last week Monday.
Not just rain. We're still in the hurricane season.
Yes, last week Monday, I know that the Prime Minister indicated that funds would be disbursed to victims. You listeners and viewers will recall that the government announced that they were offering from 400,000, 150,000, and 50,000. And they said that those whose houses, victims whose houses were completely damaged, they would start receiving funds last week, Monday. But I have not been able to check to find out, how this went. But I, speaking to people in St. Elizabeth, and as I said in other parishes, they are still having those kind of problems. It is very burdensome on the people.
Okay. Ruby and Forbes, I see you, and we thank you for your comments. Winnie might pick them up. We're still trying to get to Miss Rena Wallace. But one of the things that I'm going to talk about, one of the effects of burial has been little noticed so far. Frankly speaking, the food supply in the markets is down all over. The volume is down. People will tell you that what you're seeing is not what you used to see. That's especially true of fruits and vegetables, and prices are up. Hurricane Beryl has again exposed the frailty of food supplies in Jamaica. Frankly speaking, put another way, Beryl has shown how food insecure Jamaica is. So here's a scoop on this. Prices are really very high now. They're hammering against the ceiling. And I'm going to give you some prices in a little while, which a lot of people will not even recognize some of these prices. But I checked. Now, there's going to be pressure to import some of those slush vegetables from the United States. There's going to be pressure because the prices now are really having an effect upon people. Now, here are some of the air fuel prices I've seen in some central markets last week. And remember, on these prices, if you don't go to the market and you go to supermarkets alone, add about 20% to the prices that you're going to be seeing this week. Now, yellow yam, $300 to $500 a pound per pound, not kilogram. Everything you're talking about in pound. Cooking tomatoes. Most people understand the smaller one, not what we call the salad tomatoes.
Yes.
Cooking tomatoes, $400 to $600 a pound. Salad tomatoes, a little bit more, $500 to $800 a pound. Now, Desmond, you stay far from the market. You only consume when things are on the table, right? You don't have a clue about what prices are. So that's why I'm going to ask you what you think. How much a pound do you think is for sweet pepper, Desmond? Sweet pepper. Have a shot now, man.
Hold on. What was the question?
How much a pound do you think is for sweet pepper at the moment?
Sweet pepper?
Yes, sir.
Well, based on the reports that it is $500.
Oh, you think so? $1,000 to $1,200 a pound.
Okay.
If you search hard in some places, you might get 800 with attitude.
Yeah.
With attitude, and 1,000 is with attitude too. Winnie knows what you mean by attitude.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Oranges now.
Yeah,
you can take it or leave it. If you're fast surprised, you can't buy it.
Yeah.
Orange. And it's hard to call these things orange. They are green, so you can't really call them orange. But you don't see orange with orange color anymore right now. But orange, $1,500 to $2,000 a dozen. I kid you not. And it's more if you go on the main of St. Anne, some of the places on the main road, where the berries on the side of the road, you're gonna pay $150 to $200 per fruit, orange. And ripe bananas, kicking around $500 to $1,000. Winnie, I don't know if you have been taking the comments on and can help us with that.
There's one that Joshua just put up on the board. There was a previous one, but there's one that Joshua just put up from Aaron Allen. And there was Ruby and Forbes before. So they go by so quickly. We thank Ruby and Forbes says it's a lot of work, but it's a shame they have to wait so long for a restoration. It is true. It's always painful to wait for a restoration. What's the solution? What can we do? And Aaron Allen, Joshua, Aaron Allen's comment, because I can't reach it otherwise. Yes. The restoration of electricity after previous hurricanes such as Dean and Gustav, 2 major hurricanes, was done in a prompt manner by the JPS. The government needs to engage and work with the JPS. That's Aaron Allen. Thank you both for your contribution to the program today.
Desmond, one of the issues is that the Prime Minister has raised the issue, and I don't think it has been discussed enough in Jamaica, the issue of whether legislation with regard to JPS. I don't know if this is a pain that the government is feeling, because the government is getting a lot of the criticism as if they are the ones who really run JPS. But JPS, nobody can hold JPS to account. We have to just listen to them. In fact, I think by now the country should have had a comprehensive scientific type of report, engineering report, on what has happened from Beryl. We have not had that. We have just had the minister first making some noises about what's going to happen, about JPS restoration details and so forth. Up to now, the country has not had any technical report about the nature and the scope of the damage suffered by the JPS system in Hurricane Beryl. And therefore, everybody is in the dark. Thank you all for joining us again this week. Remember, you may use this same link that was sent out earlier and to see the podcast later. Share and subscribe, please. Desmond has had some other points, and I want him to touch the constitutional issues, because we have been putting them off Desmond, and we really wanted to take them on.
Yes, that's another issue. And based on the time frame and what must be done now, I think it is hardly likely that we are going to have our constitutional reform before elections. And I am also concerned that unless the two political leaders sit down and iron out their differences, then we are going to go into the election, and after the election with matters undecided. And I'm talking about...
Sorry, let me just ask you to hold up there a little bit, because a lot of people have not been following me. Where are we supposed to be now with the constitutional reform process? Because there are still town hall meetings. I saw one advertised maybe 2 weeks ago. There are still those. Why are you believing that we won't get anywhere before elections?
Well, first of all, a bill is supposed to be presented to Parliament, right? And it must be on the floor 2 months before it is debated. Then will go to the Senate, and it will take another 2 months, right? Mm-hmm. So, based on the time, remember, we must have a referendum, And if you look now, you will see that both parties are in election mode. And what we don't want the referendum to be mixed up with political campaign, because that is going to pollute the discussion. Right? We don't want that. And apart from that, remember that the PNP has a position that says that their position is that we must abolish not only the monarchy, but we must also abolish appeals to the Privy Council. And so far, the government has not indicated its intention to do that. So it is important that both leaders should really have a sit down and iron out that part of the discussion, so that they both have position which, they arrive at on a consensus basis, so that they can go to the people as one. Because you don't want, when they are talking about the referendum, that the PNP is saying one thing and the JLP is saying another thing. Both parties must be saying the same thing to the people. And I don't see that happening right now.
Let me just ask you to comment on whether you see any great interest in this matter. I'm not talking about whether it is important or not. Of course, it's important. I just wanted to get a sense from you, whether in your circles and in people you see out in the country parts and so forth, whether there's any great interest in this matter, or what's their position. Winnie?
I don't hear people talking about it. I've had conversations and the people are just nonchalant. It's really not something that determines whether or not I eat a bread tonight. So you have a number of persons who are really not paying any attention to what is going on. They're just trying to eke out a living. So they're not paying as much attention as maybe education is the way forward, where we have to really bring it to the people rather than expecting them to do it on their own.
Desmond, your last word on what you find people, how people are responding. And I'm going to close.
Well, yeah, what Winnie said a while ago is right. The Jamaican people, they are not enthused about that. Because you have to remember, that the Jamaican people are not educated about the Constitution. Remember that. That is one thing that the vast majority of people in Jamaica, educated and uneducated people, they are not in touch.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Desmond. Thanks for raising the constitutional issue. We just didn't stay on light today. We thank Everton Fisher, Councillor for Balaclava Division, for again highlighting the situation in his division. We weren't able to get one of those who we had wanted to speak with, but we are glad that you are with us and you joined us. On behalf of Winnie Anderson Brown and Desmond Richards and technical operations by Joshua Black, I am Franklin McKnight. Until then.